send send a message. It's 055 1111 997. 055 1111 997 here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. I've got quite a set of seasoned guests whom I'll be introducing to you in a moment. But of course, before that, let's get down to some messages, after which we'll get the show fully started. Thank you very much for making us number one when it comes to the issues and the personalities behind them. Today, we're asking a very simple question. What is the true effect of the suspension of the Betpower Premier League on the clubs? The clubs, are at the receiving end of a lot of the troubles that come with it. What are they doing? What were their projections? And how has it affected what they plan to do for this season? Thank you very much for joining us. The Joy Sports Link is airborne. FM, 27 minutes past the top of the hour. Bringing their expert views and their specialist views to this conversation are a man who has built a very impressive CV with the Black Stars of Ghana and other national teams. Featured at the FIFA World Cup, featured at the Africa Cup of Nations. Has a minimum of 89 caps for Ghana. John Paintel is now a coach who's running his own academy, the John Paintil Academy. He's one of our contributors for today. Also, the CEO of Accra Great Olympics, the only wonder club in the world, Mr. Luboy Commodore, will be contributing to this conversation as well. Another ex-Ghana international who's played for all Ghana's national teams and now is serving as a coach at Tamale City FC. Tamale City, remember, are debutants in the Ghana Premier League, which is now the Betpower Premier League. Hamza Mohammed joins me virtually from his base in Tamale. Also in Swatraman FC are one of the gems from the Bono area, which is a hotspot for our football. And their Director of Communications, Joe Cole, will be joining us from his base as well. And of course, contributing from here at Kokomlemle in our studios is Mr. Ebo Apia, a seasoned football pundit who's making a return after a couple of years. Mr. Aminu Shadow is a director of Dreams FC. He will also be telling us the kind of effect that all of this is having on the operations of the club. So, the Ghana Premier League, which is known as the Betpower Premier League, remains suspended after a court case between the club side Ashanti Gold and the country's FA, I'm talking about the Ghana Football Association, was adjourned. Now, the top flight was halted indefinitely by the GFA last week, in the last week of September, after Ashanti Gold filed a court injunction against the organization. Now, the Obuasi-based side is challenging its demotion from the top flight to the third tier. After being found guilty of match fixing by the GFA earlier this year. Now, the governing body's request for a swift return of the Premier League in Ghana suffered a fresh setback after the case was adjourned until October 20. So the decision at the Accra Human Rights Court was made after Ashanti Gold, who argued that the GFA's ruling had infringed its rights and applied to file a supplementary affidavit. Now, next week's scheduled hearing will set a date for the hearing of the substantive case between the club and the Ghana FA. Now, the 18-team Betpower Premier League was suspended after just 3 rounds of this new campaign and will now have to endure further disruption ahead of next month's FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Well. This is so sad. Well, let's just quickly take, for those of you who do not have the benefit of that story, let's just quickly take you into it. So, Ghana's top flight was thrown into turmoil in May after the GFA relegated Ashanti Gold and Inter Allies to Division 2 and sanctioned players and officials from both clubs for match fixing. Now, the ruling came after a Premier League match between the two sides in July 2021 ended 7-0 to Ashanti Gold, ensuring that the club could avoid relegation. Hashmin Musa scored 2 own goals for Inter Allies, who were bottom of the table and had already been consigned to a place in Division 1, claiming he was trying to prevent a pre-arranged 5-1 scoreline. Musa's claims and notifications of suspicious betting patterns were investigated by the GFA, who found both teams guilty of match manipulation and handed out a range of punishments. Now, the most severe sanction was given to Inter Allies volunteer Emmanuel Ni Amwa, who's also known as Ni Gogo, who was barred for life for his role in the fix. Now, Ashanti Gold president Dr. Kweku Frimpong was given a 10-year ban and fined 100,000 Ghana cedis, while his son Emmanuel Frimpong, the club's CEO, got an 8-year ban and a fine of 50,000 Ghana cedis. Musa himself was banned for 2 years, but the sanction was reduced to 6 months for his role in ravaging the fixed match. Now, a total of 26 players, including Musa, hit with bans between 2 and 4 years, were hit with bans between 2 and 4 years, while the respective head coaches of the teams were also handed 2-year suspensions. So this is, a brief of how it has all gone, up to this point. And so we're getting into the conversations about, what really, the clubs are going through at this time. You want to put ourselves in the shoes of the administrators and the owners of these clubs, and also the players who were hoping that by now they would have gotten things underway and gotten things, running and trying to set all sorts of records for themselves and trying to get themselves in good form are unable to do that. Well, so as I mentioned, quite a number of persons will be joining us for this conversation. And so we'll start off with Coach John Paintel. Interesting and refreshing to have that title, coach, after so many years of contributing wholeheartedly to the game. Thank you very much, JP, for joining us.
Thank you very much, Nathaniel. I hope all is well.
Well, great to have you. And you look good this afternoon, fresh and cool. Quimpy gave you some good, what would you call it? Brunch, eh? You ate something for brunch. You didn't invite me for brunch today at home.
Oh, Nathaniel, next time.
I hear. All right, so Ebo Apia is making a return after quite a number of years here. Ebo, good to see you. It's been a while, and thank you so much for responding to our call. It was a bit of a late one, though.
Good to have cajoled me back in.
Great stuff there. Let's begin with you, John. Look, we were full of hope. We were very optimistic about what this new Premier League season will bring to all of us. And there we go. There's no football to play because there are issues. How do you see all of this from where you sit?
Like you did mention, it's a bit frustrating for football fraternity here in Ghana. Many clubs started well, not mentioning the Legon cities pick up their form, doing very well. A lot of clubs, and also some clubs also started a bit sloppy. So all these things, when you look at it, it's something that frustrates the players, especially those who get a very good start in the beginning of the season. And those who are not doing well, I think they also have an advantage to also put their pieces together and get things right. But this is not good for Ghana football. But I think we should pray that whatever is hidden there should come out as soon as possible, because it's going to affect the players. Especially even players sitting home 1 week without doing anything, knowing that he has started the league and suddenly the league have to stop because of one or two things. It's a bit frustrating.
Frustrating indeed, and it'll bring me to you, Ebo. Ebo, you have been following, the pattern of events for some time now, and you have loads of friends who play and those who run these clubs with their resources. Where do you also pick all of this from where you sit?
Good afternoon to your viewers, and I'm glad to be back after some time. I think that this whole thing is not beneficial to anybody. And if you look at the Ghana football enterprise, it's a product. That's why they're saying that when the two giants fight, is the grass that loses. Two elephants fight is the ant. So at the end of the day, whether Ash Gold comes on top or the Ghana Football Association comes on top, nobody wins. And if you heard Pencil from his point of view, talking as a coach, he made a very important point where he spoke about players that have gone through preseason, started the league. Normally it takes about the 8th to 7th week for people to begin to peak. So you realize that even the first 4 weeks, people were trying to find their feet. You are talking about preseason, about 6 weeks, plus another 4 weeks, and people were still not ready. And you stop it all of a sudden. So if it goes beyond a certain period, it means you've gone back for 10 weeks. So you need that preseason for people to get themselves into shape, and then the league will start all over again. That is on the sporting side. Now, on the business side, look at it that you are an investor. The first thing that's on your mind is your return on your investment. So I'm into, let's say, Nathaniel Atto coil. So that we don't give mileage to any coil in the system. So Nathaniel Atto coil. Maybe it's a business that you might have to prepare. So Nat Coil, or let's say Natco, is a coil that is sponsoring one of the things. Now, you brought containers from China and you want to dispose of them. And so you have a certain period by which you want to work. So when you put your money into the product, you are expecting the thing to run so that your product goes simultaneously at the same time. Here you are for 10 weeks, you've been truncated. And even if it's 3 weeks, the, most of the Ghanaian products, it takes a lot of drumming, drumming into the consumer before the consumer begins to lash on it. A typical example is Tampico. If you no, not Tampico. Titi Brothers' first product they brought, if you remember. There's a particular Tango, if you remember.
Tango, yes, I remember.
We used to go to the Accra Sports Stadium.
Yes.
And then what he did was that, as part of his activation, it was given as part of the ticket, and at a point, it was discounted. I'm talking about 20, 15 years ago. That's how come that product was made famous in this time.
And it was because the Ghana Premier League was active. Matches were being played.
So back to the conversation that we are having. Sometimes we want to narrow the conversation to just one item. That's a very myopic way of looking at it. But you must look at it as a business. Look at how much the Europeans are putting into football now. Look at how much South Americans are making out of football. And we sit here, and the little that we have, instead of protecting it, we are... this particular Ash Gold thing, it's not even peculiar to Ash Gold. We've come back from different court cases over the years. So not if you look back 5 years from now, it's been one case upon the other, upon the other, upon the other. If you were in the consumer market, what would you do for such an enterprise? Looking at their past 5 years record.
Well, you can also join the conversation. It's 055-1111-997. As I mentioned earlier, there are quite a number of people we'll be speaking to this afternoon who are looking at this from different perspectives from where they sit. Later on, we'll also be getting the specialist opinion of Mr. Neil Armstrong Motagbe, who is a former CEO of Accra Hearts of Oak and also, has served previously as a FIFA instructor marketing, so that he can bring even more perspective to this point that Ebo Apia has raised. In a few moments, we'll be taking a listen to the lawyer for Ashanti Gold on thoughts after he sought that injunction and had it granted by the courts. Now, John, you have had the privilege of going into, club administration. We all do know what you did with Legon Cities Football Club, for instance. Now, can you tell me in that instance how tough or easy it was convincing partners, especially those who have the finances, to come on board at that time when we were trying to restructure things and restructure, our league and its look and feel? How easy was it, or how difficult was it, especially considering all the things that had happened, and those also included some court cases as at that time?
It's a bit difficult. Running a football club and then facing such issues, like you did mention, when the Wild Stars came to Accra and starting and changing the name to Legon Cities, it was a lot of things. The club want to brand themselves well to become one of the professional football clubs in the world, not only Africa, and which indeed they are up there. But looking at teams that looking for sponsorships to come, they have a media right, they have a lot of maybe betting companies coming to invest their money in the clubs, and then seeing all this is happening in football, the delaying and court issues, it becomes a bit problem, and then granted for a lot of clubs who are working very well to bring their brand and work as a football professional football clubs. So Nathaniel, it's a very difficult moment for such clubs who are pushing, especially like I did mention, chasing a lot of contracts, a lot of sponsorships, and some of the clubs have a sponsorship deals proposal in the locker, or they're about to sign a deal for the club to at least support them running the football club. So when this incident happened and such thing happened, it caused a lot of damage to the club.
So, damage.
Good to see Pencil has his own academy. You could see.
Yeah, we'll be talking a bit about the John Pencil Academy later on in the
When
show.
I see
Yeah,
things like that, it gladdens my heart because they have played the game to the highest
level.
and it's important we get them involved in what is going on. Now back to our question. Look, Nat, after the Second World War, if you watch, most conflicts, after all, they still go back to the drawing board. Most conflicts, if you talk about nuclear aversion missiles on the island of Cuba, Kennedy had to sit down at a point with the Soviet leader and say, look, you know what, America will withdraw their missiles from Italy so that the Soviets also withdraw theirs from Cuba so that there can be peace. So they were ready to face each other. But common sense prevailed that, look, this thing, if you go ahead, it will not help anybody. The Angolan conflict, you remember Savimbi and Co, they fought. They had to come back and talk. Check most conflicts. You will flex your muscle, I'll flex my muscle. In some cases, we go to war. But after the war, we still have to come and sign a treaty. And say that Nat will not hit me again, and I will also not hit you again. So what is the essence of the fight? If that fight can be averted. You get what I'm saying? And it is important that leadership on both sections will now begin to exercise restraint so that from the back, if we can begin, because at the end of the day, at the court of either our human rights court or even court of arbitration, either way, there has to be an understanding. Whichever way you look at it, there will be an understanding. So sometimes you ask yourself, was it worth this prolonged wait whilst we all suffer? I just pray that leadership will exercise restraint on both sides so that we can talk. Look, Nat, there is nothing that does not have a solution as far as I'm concerned. In life, especially because of the medicine, if you brought in a patient, two things are going to happen. Is either the situation is a cancerous situation or a blip. Cancer means the thing has gone to every part of the body. You can't do anything about it. And
You just have to manage it.
Yes. But is this a situation? Is it a cancerous situation? I don't think so.
Very interesting points you've raised there. This is not a cancerous situation, so a solution can be reached, and that solution does not necessarily lie, within the space of the courts. Well, but at the end of the day, a punishment was meted out, and Ashanti Gold felt that they were not treated fairly, and they feel that they should get there, so they had to go to court. Well, let's just pick the thoughts of lawyer Sam Crab, who spoke to us after he got that injunction granted.
All right. Okay. So thank you very much. Exactly what happened was that Ash Gold Sporting Club filed an injunction to restrain the playing of the Bet Power Premier League for the 2022-2023 season, and the GFA actually responded to the motion for the interlocutory injunction. After they have responded, they raised issues which we addressed in another court process, usually called the supplementary affidavit, in support of Ash Gold's application for injunction. So in the courtroom today, after announcing ourselves, and when counsel for the Ash Gold, that is myself, got ready to move the motion for the order to restrain the GFA from proceeding to play the Bet Power Premier League, lawyer for the GFA, my learned friend, raised a preliminary objection to the filing of the supplementary affidavit of Ash Gold. And so she actually made the arguments to the court that the supplementary affidavit Ash Gold filed in support of the order for the interlocutory injunction should have been filed with leave of the court. And the truth of the matter is that when Ash Gold was responding, they failed to respond by bringing the leave, all right, before filing the supplementary. Then the court actually listened to her arguments, and we were asked to respond. And we also responded by letting the court know that there is an irregularity with her raising of the preliminary legal objection of or to our supplementary affidavit. What is the irregularity? So we argued in court that any objector to any court process, okay, by way of what we call preliminary legal objection, ought first to give notice to the other party. Secondly, must give reasons, okay, to the objection. And then thirdly, such notice ought to be given to the other party at least 3 days before the hearing of the motion. And so we argued that her failure to bring us notice, all right, of her preliminary legal objection to our supplementary affidavit by itself is irregular, and the court ought not to listen or countenance her preliminary legal objection. After that, the court gave its ruling, and the court ruled that indeed Ash Gold ought to have come to court for leave before filing the supplementary affidavit, and their failure to do so renders that process irregular, and same was struck out or set aside. Now, the court further also ruled that the preliminary legal objection counsel for GFA also raised is also irregular, to the extent that she also failed to give to Ash Gold or counsel for the Ash Gold notice of the preliminary legal objection and the reasons why, she's raising that. And for that matter, the preliminary objection was declared irregular, and the supplementary affidavit in support of the motion for injunction was also rendered irregular by the court. Then we are of the considered opinion and brought to the court's attention that the facts or the content of the supplementary affidavit are germane, to our case, and it provides material facts that this court ought to look at, and to ensure substantive justice, over what we call procedural law. We urged the court to grant us the opportunity to come properly with the leave to file the supplementary affidavit in support of the motion for interlocutory injunction. A counsel for GFA forcefully opposed that prayer, saying that the GFA is losing at this moment, and for that matter, the court ought not to grant us that leave to file the supplementary affidavit. But eventually, the court ordered that by 17th October, which I believe is coming Monday, we should have filed the motion for leave to file a supplementary affidavit, and then also return back to court on the 20th of October, which is coming Thursday, to move the said motion for the leave to file our supplementary affidavit, and then the case will take its normal course. So hopefully next week, Thursday, if the court is satisfied that leave should be granted, then the court will grant us that leave, and we will go and file the supplementary pursuant to the leave, serve lawyers for GFA, and then they also have a right to respond to the content if they so wish, after which we come back to the court and now deal with the motion for interlocutory injunction itself, and the court would have to exercise its discretion one way or the other in a grant or a refusal, and that will bring that aspect of the case to an end. But the substantive case will continue till it is determined on its merits as expected in the judicial system.
Thank you.
Well, Sammy Crab there, with a lot of technical explanations, regarding how we got here. And the indications that we do get is that, case is just about to get started, meaning that, this delay is going to extend. Well, let me just quickly go over to the Bono area and speak to Joel Jempe. Joel Jempe is known in football circles as Joe Cole. He's the director of communications of Nswatreman Football Club. Nswatreman are coached by the legendary Mohamed Gago. Now, they are one of the clubs that made a very big impression on everyone because of the kinds of infrastructure, the relative infrastructure that they have, and how they have prepared themselves generally to get into the league. Okay, so Joel, good to have you here. How is your club dealing with this lean period where there's no competitive football? What are the measures you've taken as a club, to deal with all of this? Can you unmute for me, please? Can you kindly unmute for me? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon
to all your listeners, and maybe I should say viewers too, depending on how you're listening.
Viewers is right, because we're streaming on YouTube. Very well.
Oh, okay. Well, I understand your term, lean. Maybe that is the right way, because listening to your interview right now, I don't know. I don't really know what to say, but it seems we are not really going to start the league now or very soon, and it's quite disturbing. That if you were asking of how maybe we're planning or how we've scheduled our time to maybe prepare ourselves to any time the league will resume again, we're actually planning certain friendly matches until this issue of organizing a Bruno Ahafo top four league for these clubs playing in Ghana Premier League, which found in Bono and Ahafo. And in Ahafo,
so tomorrow, for instance, Bechem United are playing against the Brekum Chelsea, right?
Yeah, they'll be playing today. We will be playing. We'll be playing tomorrow. Bechem United will be playing against Brekum Chelsea today.
Then, exactly, 3 p.m.
Yes, please. Yeah, 3 p.m. So tomorrow we'll be playing Doma Adriana Stars at 3 p.m. too at Doma. So we're actually planning certain friendly matches, as I earlier on said. So this issue of that special league came in. So currently that is where we are competing in, and we've already played 2 games so far in it. We first played against Bechem United at their home ground. We lost to them 2-1. Then the second game to Brekum Chelsea on our home ground too, and unfortunately we lost that one to 1-0 to them. So this is actually what we are doing for now, to just keep ourselves active till the league resumes.
Joel, how is it looking in the stands? I mean, in the games that you've played so far, because these are mouth-watering fixtures that should draw numbers any day. But considering that they do not have the look and feel of the Betpower Premier League, are the fans as interested as they would have been if these were proper league fixtures that were being played, under this structure?
Well, comparing it to how it would have looked if it were the Ghana Premier League fixtures, I think in terms of the numbers we get at our stadiums, it would have been different from what we currently experience. But then, unfortunately, the weather has not been favorable to us in any of the two games we've played so far. In our first game against Bechem United, it really rained heavily before and even during the game. And it did happen too again during our next game against Brecum Chelsea. So we didn't really get the normal attendance we were looking forward to have. But then it was quite impressive in our game between Brecum Chelsea when we played home. So I think, though people have their way of seeing things, though it's a big game actually, because in Swashman between a team like Doma Adriana Stars or Brecum Chelsea, maybe Bechem United should attract a huge number of spectators. But then you see sometimes the league is
Has a lot of
bigger
weight.
than some of these special competitions. So, but then it's quite impressive. We are looking forward to have more of them. And we only pray that some of these rains do not disturb us on our match days.
Tell me about the
Okay.
playing body. Tell me about the playing body and how they've received all of this. I mean, since the league had to be put on hold.
They've not taken it lightly, and even including the technical team, not even leaving out the management, and also to some of the board members I've spoken with. And it's kind of disturbing because psychologically you could see that the players are not okay. They are not okay because they keep telling us that you keep training and you don't even know when the league is resuming, and it's kind of stressing psychologically. So the only thing that is compensating us for now is this special tournament we are competing in. But then it's not as if we're still playing in the Bet Power Premier League. So it's not been easy for them. It's not been easy. But we are trying to psych them up not to lose their form. Last I was speaking to your station about 2 weeks ago. I told them earlier, at least we gathered a momentum we thought was an average performance, at least in relation to a club that has just qualified in its debut system. Debut season, I should say. Playing our first game, beating Bibiani Gold Stars 1-0, then go to play a draw to, how do you call them, Kotoko Royals. Then we lost to Kotoko. Though we lost, but the game was a fantastic game that we were all happy and expecting to have won, but unfortunately it didn't happen that way. So we realized at least we were gathering kind of momentum that needed an immediate continuation. So now that there's a suspension or a break, it's really affecting us. And as I said earlier, we are trying to psych the guys up not to get that low psychologically.
Let's talk about your share of all these sponsorships that have come in. Can you confirm if your club has received a bit from the sponsorships that came in at the start of the season?
Yeah, I had a confirmation from my CEO. It seems about a couple of days ago. So he did confirm we've received our shebe. Truly be told, I haven't asked him as in how the amount or maybe what the amount is.
I see.
But then I can confirm we've received our share already.
All right. So training will continue, and these special competitions will be played.
Sure.
Before
For now, that is.
Yeah. Let's also look at this part of the conversation. I mean, anything can happen. We're in a space or in a scenario where anything really can happen. Now, in the instance where we stretch, this matter stretches, gets to the World Cup, and we need to just break and and focus on the World Cup, what then will be the plan? Has your club planned for that kind of scenario as well?
For now, I'll say no, not yet. But per how things are going, we'll have a management and a technical team meeting on Monday. So I'm quite sure we are going to discuss that when we meet on Monday.
All right, all the best to you in the Bruno Top 4, the Bruno Top 4 competition. I don't know how confident you are if you can make any impact in terms of where you will place in the competition.
For now, it's really been tough for us. But then we are looking not to at least be at the bottom when the league ends or the special league ends. So we are here to play our third game. And I think we all have to play 6 games, to have the winner. So now that we've already played 2 and lost 2, we have to fight 2-0 to get the necessary points available left. And if I can give a prediction based on our strength, and I would say we are trying not to get below 3rd position. So maybe from 1st, 2nd, 3rd, of which I'm sure maybe the 1st position is going to be difficult really at this moment. So we are targeting the 2nd and the 3rd spot for now.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it goes.
But I don't know. Yeah, initially, our technical team wanted to give much playing time to players who didn't have much time or even no time to play at all when we started the Best Power Premier League. That was those were the players we fielded in our first game against Bechem United, entirely a new team against Bechem United. Because we were speculating, or maybe we were looking at it that this Friday, just yesterday, and maybe the court and GFA could have had a final decision that would have maybe allow us continue the league even just next week. But then what we heard yesterday is making us think that no, and even per the interview I just listened to you right now is making us feel that the league is not going to resume very soon. So we have to put all our arsenals in the rest of the games to make sure that at least the brand in Swatraman to maybe wouldn't be disgraced. Let me use that word. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Joe, thank you so much for your time this afternoon on the Joy Sports Link. And we wish you well. Honestly, do wish you well. And we're hoping that this matter would reach a certain logical conclusion so that, we can see some activity on the in the whole system. Now, but before you go, what is the agenda for you regarding what you want to take out of your debut season in the Bet Power Premier League? Some come in and they say we want to remain. Some come in, they say we want to go to the top 4. Some come, they say we want to be in the top 10. What is it that you have planned for this season as we keep going?
Yeah, I'll go for your second mention, and that is to finish in the top 4.
Okay. That's a big deal,
Sure, but it's not more than we can actually achieve, though. It's possible. It's possible to finish in the top 4. And looking at the kind of players we have in our squad and even the technical team we've paraded, looking at, you mentioned our head coach Gago, and there's this technical head or technical director we have, Mr. Abubakar Momoni, who happens to have coached Wow Stars, now Legon Cities, and has also traveled to certain African countries to coach. So he has also got that kind of level of experience. Then Coach Boniface Aipa, who qualified us to the Premier League. So looking at the technical team and come to look at the players we have. So, and even our game against Kotoko, we lost to them though. But there were certain analysis we made out of the game. We realized that going forward, we shouldn't repeat those mistakes. So we've really learned a lot within this short time of 3 games we've played. And we are really looking forward that once the league resumes, we are going to really be a firepower in the league.
Okay. A powerhouse, and they're going to bring a lot of firepower in Swatraman FC.
Sure.
All right. Joel Jempe is the communications manager for Swatraman FC. They are debutants in the Premier League, and he has been sharing with us what they have been doing, what they plan to do, in case all this, just keeps going or the situation remains the way it is. Ebo, I don't know what your thoughts are.
Listening to the Jempe guy and then listening to the lawyer, it comes back to what I was telling you.
Yeah.
Like you're in a stalemate,
Sure.
and there's no way out, or there's no way in sight, and that makes it much more dicey because, like he told you, they haven't even begin to think of Plan B, because their plan was that as soon as possible the league is going to resume, and that brings me back to my point where I said I didn't think it was cancerous, because one side thinks that as soon as possible we'll get back. Another side also thinks that I want justice, and until I'm giving that justice, this thing must go on and go to its logical conclusion. At the end of the day, that's what happens. At the end of all this. So it's tough, but it's not unsurmountable. I don't think that anybody is prepared to talk, but I am of the opinion that, look, that's why the courts have something they call ADR.
Alternative dispute resolution. Yeah.
You have to, as a leader, it doesn't mean that when you bend, you are not a leader. A leader is someone who shows the way. A leader is someone who looks at the bigger picture. A leader is someone who puts people before you. There's a term I always talk in my office about others. It's like, don't think about yourself. Think about other people. When you begin to think about other people, the way of thinking changes. The way you analyze things changes. It's not about your emotions. It's not about your ego. It's not about who is right. At this stage, Nat, who is right? You and I cannot take sides. But at the end of the day, the people of Ghana, I mean, all over the world, the economic hardships. One of the things that really people lash on is the passion of the nation, which is our game. We all love football. Nobody can say we don't love football. If you want to know whether we love football, when the Black Stars are playing, just check on the streets and see the traffic. Whether there's any traffic. You can go from here to Tema free and come back. Why? Because everybody is glued to their TVs. Even European football, sometimes on the weekends, check. Particular teams are playing. You can see that it affects even the traffic. And that tells you that this is a product that we must not joke with. I don't see us taking that product as seriously as we ought to take it as a nation. Because what's the amount of money that we make out of this football? Sometimes my colleagues and some of my friends that own clubs, I also have investment in some clubs. And if you look at the investment on the returns, I wonder how we do the football in this country. A club, this club, the Premier League clubs, those who don't spend are spending close to 80 to 70,000 a month.
70,000 Ghana cedis.
A month.
A month.
Those who don't spend at all. I don't want to talk about.
So these are just conservative estimates.
Yes, but even the 80, 70 was before this dollarization going up like that. That was way before the season started. So you're talking about $100,000 Ghana cedis per month per the clubs. Look at somebody from Central Region, moving from, let's say, Central Region to go and play in Sokakope and back by car. How much would it cost? In Swatrema, look at where they are. Very far away. So if the gentleman can give you, he won't give you the figures, but I can tell you his weekend budget for only transportation is huge. And therefore, you must begin to understand that you can't continue putting money into, and that's why you don't understand why the players keep going out. Because the club owner is spending 100,000 Ghana cedis minimum a month. In 12 months, how much is that? 1.2 million. So if you bring him $20,000, he will take. He will take because he has recurrent expenditure that he must keep paying. You were asking him what are they doing. As he's playing the top four, he's bleeding. He's bleeding money.
True.
Pure money. It's not that when he gets to the gas station, whether he's in Swatrema or he's whatever, he has to pay. When the boys need money for feeding, he has to pay. When the gentleman has their monthly allowances, before, you see, there's winning bonus. Before the monthly allowances, he is escaping winning bonus, but he's going to pay monthly allowance. He's going to pay rent for the boys, and the gentlemen also have their families around that he must take care of. And that's why you see our players going to Ethiopia, India, everywhere, Indonesia, everywhere. Because at the end of the day, an agent comes in and says, "Look, I'll give you 1,000 cedis $1,000 a month, he calculates it. Not it's 10,000. Okay, if I go for 6 months, I get 60. If I'm here and I'm taking 500, the whole year it's not up to that. But they go within 2 months. The clubs are not honoring their what they're supposed to do. So you see, all the talent that we are producing locally are getting off. Not how many goal scorers from our national team? You let's say Kotoko and Haas. When's the last time you saw each of those two captains playing abroad?
Well, it's been a while.
So it means that we are producing, and it's like we are producing, but the talent that does not get refined, and we ship out. We produce, the talent does not get refined, and we ship out.
That's a good point you've raised, and I'd want to bring the legendary John Paintel in here, because this is an area that he's very familiar with. John, in the last season, we saw the rise of a name like Etuga, for instance, who came from Cameroon, found his feet, and was gunning until the last day for the top scorers award, until he got upstaged. Now, there is also the phenomenon of players leaving the shores of Ghana, just after a season or two, and that also takes some quality away. And you're looking at all of these things that happen, and it looks like it's just pushing them, or pushing that desire for the players to go out there just once it is not branded Ghana Premier League. John? John, can you kindly unmute for me?
Yeah, sorry, Nathaniel.
Very well, yeah.
I was saying that indeed, true that we are losing our future stars based on early exit from the local league to Europe. And like Senior Mind explained, the club owners are suffering. There's no money, big money in the league, and there's no sponsorships coming. The game has now becoming one-man show. So if one person is running the football club, like he was talking about the distance from Bekum to Bota region and all, hotels, the players who stay, the allowances, the food, drinks, and all, paying rent and all at the same time, he has his family, like he explained. So when it comes to certain things like that, any offer that comes, the club owners will let go. That one, no one will hesitate, because he knows that if you don't pay the boys themselves will run away. They can go to the FA, they can go for floating because they're not happy, their salary are not coming in time, they need to move. So as in all this will change, we need to do very well in terms of marketing, branding the club very, very well. Then you can send proposals for corporate board coming on board to support you. Because if the clubs are not also doing their homework well, there's no way money will come to the team for them to spend it. As that thing continue, all our good players, the youngsters, will exit the local league when it's not time for them to go. So it's a setup. Building a team, you need to do a lot of things. You need good structure. With that structure, you can't be the football club. So as we are talking about the lack of the youngsters leaving, we should also remember that building a team, you need a proper structure. Structure that can also sell your football club outside and then get to big companies who wants to come and invest. Nobody will go invest in a club that the club owner, the accounts on the club, they bear the name of the owner. Because if you have a football club like Kwesi Minteam FC, and then you present your proposal to a company that you need them to come on board, then the account number is in your name. There's no way they will even turn their head up to you. So doing the right things will also help the clubs going forward, getting the corporate board coming to support them. So no money, nothing. The boys will go. Like they will go to any countries, Benin, Togo, anywhere that they can find themselves, because the owners also need money. It's not their fault. But I believe and I trust that those who know the game, who have traveled, when they come home, they also have to invest. And when they come back, they have to accept them and then also read and then accept their knowledge that they can also support Ghana football. Because right now, looking at the players that are going to World Cup, the names that you have mentioned, I'm not seeing any local player who is challenging any foreign-based player. Like during the time when we said, okay, I played local league from third division to Premier League, going to Liberty Professional before moving from Ghana. I haven't seen that for a quite long time. So we have a long way to go, but there's nothing wrong with learning from each other. We need to learn from ourselves. Not, okay, this one is doing that, I don't want to do it. Do the same. Then it will help, because like Tete did, may he so rest in peace. He did it, and then he was able to raise soldiers for Ghana. And somebody can also do it. But when we see one doing it, we need to encourage and support, not to sit down and watch him how he's going to fail or anything like that. Because football is a big deal for Ghanaians. Ghanaians love the game, and then it's the game that brings a lot of unity and bring people together and all. So we need to cherish it and do the right thing. As if we don't do the right things, all this will keep happening, because there's a great players hidden somewhere, and if you don't scout them, you won't get them. And when you get them to, as in going forward, producing the necessary things, feeding them, it becomes a problem. Then you will force to sell the players. So Nathaniel, we have a long way to go, but I pray that very soon we will all come to understanding and know what football can give to us, because people don't know what football can give to us, and they are still staying in the same zone.
You have ventured into, okay, just before we come back to, Ebo wanted to add to what you said. Yeah.
You see, John is making a very important point. And you see, we sit here, and instead of looking at the thing as an enterprise, as a big product, we look at ourselves. And that's why I keep saying, don't think about yourself, think about others. After the Calciopoli, no matter what the Italian league has done, investments are not coming in. Check it. And then, instead of pulling the other German clubs together, Bayern has built a solid product that can compete with any a product in Europe. And yet the Bundesliga is suffering in terms of how much money is going into it. Go to Spain. Real Madrid and Barcelona, very flexing their muscles financially. But all the other teams, the only country that has chosen to pull everybody together, it's England, where the money is divided equitably. And so now you had the former AC Milan boss who owns a Premiership club complaining that what Nottingham Forest can buy, he cannot buy. And that is when you begin to stop to think about yourself and you begin to think about others and that whole football product. Because if anybody tells you there's no money in this country for sponsorship and communication, it's not true. And I can prove it to you. Look at how much money companies put in adverts in Ghana. Look at how much money company puts in billboards in Ghana. Now, I can tell you for sure, within that Makola enclave, all the way to airport, how many billboards would you see? Each does not cost less than 4,000 Ghana cedis per month. So it's not as if there's no money. You remember the story when Jesus was going to be born? The innkeeper told Mary, there's no place in the inn for you and your child. It does not mean that there's no room. But as far as you and your child are concerned, there's no money.
That's how come they eventually settled for the manger.
Exactly. So if you say that there's no money in Ghana, it's not true. People are bringing in products every day, and they are paying radio stations, TV stations, billboards, so that those products can be visible. To the extent that even people put a lot of money into activation these days. You see them floating people on the streets, giving samples and things. That is money. That is money. And so if you can assure the investor that when he gives you his money, every Saturday, you will give him 2,000 people, let's say in Mankesim. If you can assure somebody that every Saturday, or every other Saturday, you will make his product visible to 2 people from Mankesim. That's where I come from. I come from Ekumfi. So I'm using that as a yardstick. Why will he now go and put a billboard at Mankesim runabout and pay so much? When that money can be given to Ekumfi FC, I'm using that so that Ekumfi FC gives 2,000 people in Mankesim the product to see Natco Coil. And because we are now thinking about ourselves, we are not thinking about the whole football economy. We are not thinking about each other, and therefore the thing keeps going down and going down. And someone will say, "Oh, Nat, go and look for sponsorship." And that person, no, the business world doesn't look at you as an entity. The business world looks at you as a commodity. The whole thing, the whole football thing. Not any corporate manager in Ghana, when they are doing their yearly budget, they have monies for different portions. And so the marketing people will come in and say, maybe these are marketing budgets for the year. What shows that when you put this money into billboards or into TV radio station or into this, we'll get a return on the investment. And that's why you go in there and make a case and say that, look, don't put the money here, give it to us, and that you can still sell your product. And that is what we are not understanding in football. We think it's that like an old time where Nat has a team, I have a team, Nat goes to look for a sponsorship, I go to look for sponsorship. And sometimes when you compare how much a product gives into billboards and the same product gives into football, it means they don't value the product, the premium you put on the product. And that is the bane of the problem. And we are still playing around, fighting each other, instead of understanding that this thing is bigger. This thing is a good thing that if it's done well, all of us will benefit. No, we are always fighting each other. And this person has done that, and that person has not done this. And it's like crabs. Over the years, we are behaving like crabs, put in a bucket, and nobody wants to go up. How much is one South American player worth? When was the last time you saw a Ghanaian football team move from here to Europe for $5 million?
No.
And to run an academy like the Sogakope Academy, you need about 4 million euros every year to run it, just to run it. And you see, the likes of John Pencil, they are in this town. Ciao. So if the money was good, you get people like Aulekwe Jr., Augustine Ahimfo, all those players, you pay them $1,000 a month. They are the ones who go round. Because if you see a striker and Augustine Ahimfo sees a striker, can you identify?
He identifies better. He will, because that's his area. That's his field.
There's this young man called Aulekwe Jr. Remember him?
I remember. He used to be very, very effective with his set pieces.
Players of all
Wore the
time.
number 4 jersey.
Good.
Yeah.
Such a person. Look at his physique. So when he is picking players, he will pick certain kind of players. Look at Lai. Look at our own Stephen Appiah. A legend by every standard. He's somebody that should be paying $5,000 to $10,000 a month for him to be going around and giving in and talking. Look, Stephen Appiah just talking at Adisadel College, at any of these SHS. It's a huge. The Americans have something called boot camp, where spring break and summer break, the children go for those boot camps and things. Haven't you noticed? We are sitting here. Instead of understanding that this whole thing is global, football is global. It's no more what we used to play in our backyard, Munchenji, and we'll share and we'll play. No. Look at Thomas Partey. If we can produce a Thomas Partey, do you know how many Thomas Partey's dreams are being buried because of this thing? Do you know how many? And look at South America. Uruguay, Peru, everywhere they are moving. Are you saying that they are more skillful than us? I beg to differ. Look at Senegal. Are you saying that Senegal has more better players than us? It's not true. It's because something proper is being done there. The Vieira and co went there, invested, academies are popping up. Look at Mali. And we sit here, a young man comes in, goes to do Right to Dream Academy, and for the past 5 years, how many things have gone out of Right to Dream Academy? And it doesn't occur to us that we are doing something wrong. We are fighting. And the more we fight amongst ourselves, the more we will go down. The more we will behave like individuals and kitty, with small. You see, we think small. Every time we are thinking small. Nat has done this. Ebo has done this. Ebo is saying that. Every time. And then people are moving on. Do you know how much is the yearly budget of Ali? Ali, do you know? It will take Ghana, I don't know how many years.
It will take a while. I mean, Al Ali have gone to the end, and John Batel is smiling. Al Ali have even gone to the extent of building their own studios for their media content.
John, there's no way I will not move John from his academy if I give him 5,000. Tell him I said you should say no. He will move. If I say, John, I'm giving him $5,000, John will move. And you need John Pencil on the road. You don't need him seated in Legon. You need John Pencil on the road. Or Fancy, let him go to all the Fancy. Let him speak to the Fancy kids. Get Aulekwe Jr. Let him go to Teshinungwa. Let him go to the places. That's where they are from. And people look at them and say, these people have been there before. Do you know, there's a player by name Nto Jan. I heard his story.
I remember him, yeah.
And when I heard his story, I was touched. I understand when he got hurt in Congo, we didn't have a lot of...
right?
Yes, we didn't have a lot of how to take care of him. They had to actually carry him on his shoulder to come to Ghana. By the time they got here, the leg is gone. Such a person. He's like a gold mine. You put him, and you put him in Ashanti region. And he begins to talk to the boys. He begins to let them understand that if you go this way, this is what you see. If you go to the right, this is what you see. Look, for a long time, all our legends finish and they don't have money. It's not because they have not seen money. Frank Lampard was interviewed recently. How are you fine financially? He said, no, it's not my problem. Because there was a team that was taking care when he was playing. He was earning thousands and thousands of pounds. Today he owns over 600 flats in London because somebody was taking his money and investing it for him as he was playing. So that's why we need the likes of John to be on the road, talking to the boys when you go. For instance, look at our how much we pay. Every time we are going to the World Cup, we are talking about how much we are going to pay the players. From 2014, what have we learned? What have we learned? That's World Cup we are going now. How much will we pay? Everything is in secrecy. We wait.
And we've had quite a number of people also come in to talk about that particular subject.
Yeah. We don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, in the World Cup Tales, and we're going to see John Paintel feature in there. In the World Cup Tales, I've had at least two people talk about how we should make sure that these issues of bonuses and all of these little things are dealt with now before we employ.
You have
to
John. The 2006 World Cup we went. You have a couple of them still around.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
That's why we put them down. John, tell us what happened. Going forward, how can we solve it? They are players, so it's not that we think that we are smarter than them. These players, they are more smarter than us. We underestimate them. They are very smart. I'm telling you, sit down. I see most of them are my friends. Sit down and talk to them. Very intelligent chaps. You talk to them. How can we solve this problem? If John Pencil stands up and talking to the current generation, Mr. Munji 5,000, they will take. If you go, they won't take. And John Pencil will tell them that I want you to take 5,000 because of A, B, C, D. Because I'm going to fight for you to get your insurance. I'm going to fight for you to be put as a proper player. I'm going to fight so that your relatives and your wives and your kids will go. Because the reason the boys take their money is that the England that you are saying that they take 5,000, they take care of their families. Their families are provided with tickets, hospitality to go. They play on proper pitches. There's an insurance in case the boy gets hurt playing for the national team. He's taken care of. So that's what John Pencil comes in and tells them, look, you know what? Okay, I'll get these boys to take this money on condition you put A, B, C, D. He has been there. I have not been there. So he is the one to tell us. And yet we have all the John Pencils around and we have all those people around and then we are not using them. And then we'll go to another tournament and come back and we are in square one. We think like tortoise. Our head, small. Every time think it small. Again, kitty. You have to think big. The whole world is a global thing. So the player, you see this boy, Armando Broya, is from a country called, I think there's one Eastern countries. He was born in West London, but he's now going to play for that country. You understand? So the football is no longer Ghana. It's no longer West Africa. If we get a good, can you imagine that per this whole economy, one footballer moves for $10 million? Let's say from John Pencil Academy. John cannot eat the 10 million alone. A lot of people will benefit. his club will benefit, the boy's family, everybody will benefit. That is what we look at. How much is the remittances in a year in Ghana that the Bank of Ghana is always chasing us? Footballers can bring in more than that if we look at it as an enterprise. I'm sick and tired of us. Look,
You were talking about Broya, Albania.
yes,
Broya
Albania.
Albania, yeah.
Do you understand? So what? And when you look at one of the boys, look, if you look at a player like these English boys, are you saying that we don't have those talent here?
We do. We do. You know, so
Let's
John, we would want to also look at these efforts of talent identification, and you now are devoting your time purely, to that. We've seen a lot of your work. You know, you go to different places in the country, you hold all sorts of development programs. Tell me how it has gone. I mean, in relation to all the things that Ebo is raising.
Yeah, I think Mr. Bo is raising a very good analysis and good advice to those who wants to do well. I think he has mentioned a lot of things that if you are wise enough, you'll be able to understand what he's trying to tell you. Like football, when you are building a football, it becomes a club. It's not individual thing anymore. Like you said, football is a global, and it's indeed true. So, like me growing up, I saw that where I was hidden and I was discovered by, he so rest in peace, Coach Ike Afrani. Coaches should not be too comfortable in one place. Once the job is given to you, you should be able to go around and scout players. And then my aim is to, for me, the scouting that I'm doing, my aim is to find another John Pinto, another Stephen Apia, another Sule Guntari, another Samuel Jan, Mike Essien, John Mensah, and co. So doing a scouting as a coach, you should have your mindset and why you are doing that. Because now that I'm doing, people are not seeing it. But at the end of the day, when I'm able to bring those names out for replacement, then they will understand that, oh, when he started, we thought he was joking, this and this and that, our usual voice that you'll be saying in Ghana.
Yeah.
So what Mr. is saying is fantastic and it's good advice. I don't believe anyone can take his word and put it somewhere and say, no, he don't know what he's talking about. Because all the things that I've said, I think that was how he summarized it. The proper structure will help you building the football club. Proper structure will make you have a good setup for a football club. Because if you are not doing it well, it will not work. Because somebody coming to put his money in your club, trying to invest in it, he has to get a return. But what's the return he's going to get? That's the question he was asking. So with talent, it's important because the recent one I did in Bui Savannah area, Nathaniel, you can see players who have already made that don't need even polishing.
I see. And this was in the Savannah area, you said?
Yes.
I see.
That's 3 weeks ago.
I see. Yeah, I think I saw something like that on your Instagram page. Yeah.
Right. So it's up to us to do well and pick those players and bring them because they thought they are done. Where they are, nobody's coming for them. But as a football person, if you want to do it well, or as a club president, you have your department. You need to put things in places. Ask your coaches to go out and fetch, not to sit down and say we have to play like a justified players who want to come. No, you put them out there, go and fetch, bring players because when they go, they know what they are looking for. And every club has to have their own philosophy. So when a coach is coming, for instance, you know that, okay, I'm going to Kotoko. And Kotoko have this system in place. This is what Kotoko. This is what is Kotoko. Don't come and then come and play maybe Kukumlimli. You see? So when I talk about structure, every club in Ghana must have their own system in place. So any player that is coming, okay, going to Kotoko, I know this is what I'm going to face. That is why it's good for those scouting. Because when you scout a player, you know what you're looking for. Like my academy, I know what I'm looking for. I have a system in place, my philosophy. So if the player don't fall into my philosophy, then we cannot work together. But player must understand where he's coming and what the club needs. So he's making a very, very important note there that for me, when he was talking, I was listening and I'll pick a lot of good advice from it, which it will help me, Nathaniel.
All right. Now, Joel Jempe wanted to add something little to the last point. Joel, let's hear you.
Thank you again, Nat. I don't know, Mr. Ebo was talking about how much clubs spend in Ghana and also about how players have been flying abroad and not even to mainstream Europe. Sometimes you get some of these players going to some of these African countries. When some of us were growing up, we thought Ghana was far, far, far ahead of them in terms of any other positive thing to talk about. And currently, that is what our club is battling out with some of our players. We have about 2 or 3 players. I can't disclose their names to you, but then off air we can have a discussion on that. That are currently putting pressure on the club that they want to leave just because there's a suspension in our league. They feel they don't even know when the league is going to resume. And before the suspension came in, they were already having discussions with some of these agents and guess where they want to travel to? These Arab countries in Africa. We have 2 of them, and one to want to travel to is a Central Africa also.
But Joe, you don't blame them too much, do you? Because in Northern Africa, the leagues have been grown beyond just the sport thing. They've been grown into business structures, and you are able to get good remuneration. And the profile of the leagues themselves are higher. That's the reason why they perform better than us, in these CAF competitions.
And CAF, good. And, before the suspension came, they were okay. They wanted to stay and play for Nswasherman. But now, I was
so it's more of the uncertainty, right?
Sure. And I should confirm to you that at the moment, there's one of them who has even left for trials.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this is not peculiar to
so it's really tough. And talking about the sponsorship and how much clubs, I will end now and you will take it from there. We really spend a lot. He was talking about clubs spending up to 100,000 a month, and he's actually right. As if maybe he's even gotten the chance to go through our budget. That is it. We spend around that amount, but then it's not less than 100,000. It's more than 100,000, though not 200,000 really. And if I'm to tell you how much some of these players are earning, and that is why they were okay to play for us. And now that there's a break, they feel like we are growing and we need to take care of the home. So if the league is not maybe resuming soon, who knows? The World Cup is even coming, and we might even want to have that break too because of the World Cup. And why would they want to stay here when they can make huge sums of money abroad? So that is actually what we are going through for now. Yeah.
Joel, very, very interesting perspectives to the conversation. Well, tough times indeed. Tough times.
You see, the truth is that the word deception, I first heard a preacher man say that ignorance is a prison, and I didn't understand what he meant. But he likened it to those days during the revolution time. Chemaronis was fair, like a half-caste guy. And so Chemaronis drives into a stop, and you don't know that he's Chemaronis. And you don't accord him what you must accord him. What will happen to you? That's ignorance. So ignorance is a prison. Because you don't know. And you don't know that you don't know. And in some cases, you don't know that you don't know. And you think you know. That's the worst form of ignorance. It is like somebody who lives, you see where the Accra Girls is? Is it Accra Girls School? North Ridge.
Yes.
Okay. Let's say I was born behind Accra Girls. And for some reason, I chose to stay there for the rest of my life. I never crossed
the street.
Yeah. And so Ghana is like what? Where I live.
Yeah.
And not knowing that all I have to do is to just cross that street. And I'll realize that, There's a different Ghana at the end of that road from the Jack and Jill going that area. It is not from behind Accra girls coming to Kokomlemle. That is how we behave. We think that because we are queer in our thinking, everybody is thinking like that. Instead of coming together as a people, look, Nat, I'm on a preaching crusade, and that is others. Think about others. Don't think about yourself. Selfishness is what is destroying the African continent. It's not because there's nothing on the African continent. It's pure selfishness and greed. And the same thing we are doing in our football. We're thinking that Nat FC is better than Ebo FC. You see the man's mindset. So Nat FC will polish himself and goes for sponsorship. Oh boy, they'll give him 10,000 Ghana cedis. Meanwhile, Adonko or somebody else will come. They'll give him 100,000 for the same thing. For the same thing, Nat. For the same thing. You are giving 10,000, and then that product is giving 100,000, 10 times more value. And we don't understand that when we don't go in as a team, we lose. That's why I said together we stand, divided we fall. The more we keep dividing ourselves, the more we don't, like the Pencil was saying, what stops you from calling Pencil? Say, Pencil, when you went to Savannah, this is what happened. I'm going there, what do you do? Pencil will gladly tell you. It is only here that when you see somebody driving a nice car, I can go and say, oh, a nice car, where did you buy it? But because of jealousy, you don't want to go there. First, go and praise the guy. You might be lucky the guy will tell you, this is how I did it and I got it. There is nothing new under the sun. There's nothing completely new. If you remember, Samsung, the first Galaxy, it was because Samsung was given the contract to produce the displays for Apple. And they said, why should we sit down and just only produce displays for Apple? Let us also jump into the Galaxy and look at from Galaxy 1 and look at where they have arrived.
Yeah.
Remember this car, the Daewoo Racer, if you remember that car.
Yeah, I remember it very well. In the 90s.
Yes, it was a car that was done by Opel. They just copied it.
There's a similar, yeah, exactly.
Daewoo didn't survive, but Kia came out of Korea. Daewoo did not survive, but Kia. Can you underrate a Kia car now?
Not at all.
Not at all. Over the years, it's called polishing, followed by more polishing. You've polished it, and today look at how well they are.
That is a critical point about polishing the product, polishing, our Premier League product. And that's where I would want to bring in former Accra Hearts of Oak CEO and marketing consultant Neil Armstrong Motagbe. Now, Neil Armstrong Motagbe has conducted many training programs for football administrators in different parts of the continent because of his area of expertise. And I'd want him to also share his thoughts on this matter from where he sits, especially on the marketing operation of the league, which you have already gone into. Neil, good to have you on the show again.
Thanks, Nat. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Now, I'm sure that just like everybody else, you have your levels of disappointment that we don't have any football activity at this time, and especially at a time when we're trying very hard to synchronize our calendar with that of Europe so that it will be a seamless, system that will keep repeating itself, so that then it becomes custom. But unfortunately, it's just not happening.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on the program. It's not happening. I think I caught the last part of, I believe, Ebo's submission. And I'd say that, for me, the underpinnings of any potential success that we could collectively have as people in football, entrepreneurs in football, professionals working in football, is the philosophy with which we carry out or play our various roles in the game. Like you said, traveling around the African continent, working with different football federations and football people, especially club administrators, you'll find that where the philosophy is together we win, together we stand. Yes, we might have our differences, but for the collective good, we will see where we can agree to disagree and come together formulate a plan together with our football federation, put down clear objectives, clearly outline the pathways that would ensure our success, and have milestones or key milestones along the journey. Commit ourselves to meeting on those milestones, seeing who was responsible for doing what, and charge that person to deliver on whatever objective he's been assigned. You'll find that there is nicer feeling, there's a more positive image created about the game in those countries. Where the opposite is the case, you'll find stagnation, you'll find consistent and persistent rancor and division. And that certainly cannot work or inure to the benefit of the football industry in those countries. So the beginning of everything is the philosophy with which we engage in the enterprise of football, and also how we actively work to ensure that, irrespective of our differences, every football entrepreneur, everyone working in football at the various levels, derives the value that the person should be potentially deriving from his or her involvement in the game. I mean, that's how I'll sum up how football federations and football stakeholders can ensure success in their prosecution of the business of football.
It's a difficult one to ask, but where do we go from here now? I mean, where everybody is just sitting on tenterhooks and just hoping and praying that this case will be dealt with quickly, so that the action goes, because people have invested their money and they're looking for the numbers and the visibility.
Well, it's a time-worn statement that the wheels of justice turn slowly, and everyone has a right to assert his or her right in law as the person or the entity deems fit. And so you can't take that away from anyone who has instituted an action against the Football Association. The hope is that the internal mechanisms of our football, together with whatever consideration the court before whom this matter has been laid, would work in such a way that the matter will be cleared quickly, so that those who've invested at various levels, sponsorship has been a challenge in our game. I didn't listen to majority of the show because I was in another engagement, but I reckon that it's spoken about the impact that this would have on the Bet Power sponsorship of the Premier League. And that is a major issue that the sponsors will be taken into consideration going forward. So for a product that hasn't enjoyed the level of corporate support that we all would have hoped, such a development would certainly not really sit well with them, but it is what it is. And so all, I would say, resources that the FA can commandeer should be put to the job or the task of getting this matter resolved as soon as practicable, so that we can get back to playing game.
Neil, thank you so much. We're grateful for your thoughts on this matter.
All right, thank you too.
Neil Armstrong Motagbe is a marketing specialist and has played the role of FIFA marketing instructor, and has also worked as CEO of Accra Hearts of Oak, where we apologize for our inability to bring you conversations with the CEO of Accra Great Olympics and a few other club officials whom had wanted to get on the show. Well, it looks like they're having difficulties connecting with us from where they are. But you can reach us at 0302-216-541, 0302-216-541. Once again, it's 0302-216-541. Get through to us and let's know what your thoughts are as we pray against and hope against hope from a very naive perspective that something just happens and, this matter is dealt with as quickly as possible, from the courts so that the football can return.
My heart goes out to the clubs.
Mm.
Club owners are really suffering in this country. And my prayer is that within this time, that forced break time, heads will come together among the football club owners, and they begin to see the product more of an enterprise, more of how much they put in and how much comes in, and the need for them to begin to work together so that together the football economy grows. And now I can give you a typical example. A bottle of water in a 3-star hotel is different from a bottle of water in a 5-star hotel. Let's begin to see the football like a 5-star product, so that the same money that ad agencies, that billboards, that TV stations, that radio stations. You see, now if you start a race and you say, I can't, you've defeated yourself. And Obama proved it by saying that, yes, we can. The first thing is the mindset of football. All of us, not you, me, all of us play a role. And to desist in saying that there's no money in Ghana, that is a defeatist attitude. Don't say there's no money in Ghana. There is. Where is the money? Look around you. Activations. Every weekend you can see a product in a mall or something that is being activated. It is money. They print t-shirts. That is money. You see cars go around with stickers on them. That is money. You see radio stations making adverts. That is money. You see TV stations making adverts. That is money. You see billboards. And I'm giving you the prices. Minimum billboards of those huge billboards you see littered all around the country is 3,000 Ghana cedis, 4,000, in some cases more. So imagine that. How many billboards has one telco in this country? Now, you can have a single telco having over 100 to 1,000 billboards in this country. And if each is 3,000 cedis, how much is that money? So there's money. It's a fallacy and it's a delusion for people to begin to say there's no money. That is why our football is the way it is.
Well, just about some 4 minutes to wrap it up. I'll be going over to my guests so they can wrap up. But Accra Hearts of Oak are also in a very, very tight corner as they go up against Real
We wish
Bamako
them all the best.
in that game in the CAF Confederation Cup. Are Accra Hearts of Oak able to turn that 3-goal deficit? That's another very big question that we'll need to answer. But let's get on the phone line now. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I hope you're doing well.
Thank you very much for asking. Please go ahead.
Yeah, this is just a tonight, Sama.
Please go ahead.
Your guest is talking about sponsorship. But if somebody is going to put his or her money in sponsoring football in Ghana now, I mean, what is the benefit? What is the excitement of our football now? People are not going to the stadium because who are they going to watch? I mean, those days, Shamokwe, Ishmael Ado, Joe Debra, I mean, those players that we were going to look at, the stadium were full. Now, it's not about the facilities to train the players. It's not about, money to pay the players to play well. You understand? The football now is not attractive. So when you are going to sponsor, how are you going to retrieve your money back? That's another issue. So I think we need to make the football attractive so that sponsors can come in. Because of time, I'll leave it here.
Thank you very much, Ajman Joseph. 0302-216-541. 0302-216-541. We have space for just one more phone call, unfortunately. All right, so let's just go around the table quickly for final comments as we wrap this up. So, Joel, a lot of work ahead of all of us, indeed.
Sure. And it's quite disturbing. So we just hope that this issue will be resolved as soon as possible to just cut off some of these things happening. It's quite disturbing. We are really speaking to our players, for instance, we are really speaking to them that they should have patience. They are not really complaining of not getting paid because at the moment, whatever benefit they need to get from the club, they are really getting it. But they are thinking of the future. how things are going to get in some months' time when the league is not going to be resumed till maybe next season. That is why they are really worried. So we really, though it's in court, so we can't just give any judgment or something. We just wish, hope, and pray that the league will resume as soon as possible. And then I also take this opportunity to wish Accra Asofo the best of luck as they play against their counterparts from Mali tomorrow.
Joel, thank you so much. Let's go to John Patel for his final comments. John?
Yeah, Nathaniel, thank you very much. I think all of us have spoken well, and there was a lot of advice and all. So I think everybody will listen to what at least small education that we have been able to bring out for our people. And we're also praying that very soon, whatever in court, it will be resolved. We are one people, we cannot fight till the end of the year. So definitely the problem will be resolved. But our advice, I'll give it to the players who are in the clubs to keep going. They have the technical man, they have a program for them. So as in when the league is starting or not, that shouldn't be their problem more. That will affect them. They should focus and then respect the contract they have with the club, because your coaches are there to give you a program. They can decide to play like a mini league, cups and all. So our prayers are with them, and we believe that it's football that we all eat and drink and done with it. So all the best and good luck to all of us. And also, Hasselhoff, all the best to Hasselhoff. They are representing us, and then we believe that things will go well. Thank you very much, Nathaniel.
Thank you to John Patel with 89 caps for Ghana, and now a coach running his own John Patel Academy. Played in the English Premier League, played in Israel, played in the Africa Cup of Nations and the FIFA World Cup for Ghana. Ebo, the final word with you.
I'm sure you were wondering when you were trying to cajole me, why I didn't want to come. I'm sure you've seen that.
Yeah.
We've spoken about these issues for how many years?
Yeah, I know.
So many years.
Yeah.
And it's disheartening when we have to go back and speak about the same thing all over again. Like you said, let's just hope against hope. I still believe that people can talk, and out of the talking, something, that's my belief. I might be wrong. I'll be glad if I'm wrong. But I just pray that heads can cool down, and then they look in each other's face and solve this problem for all of us to move, because everybody will enjoy when the football is being played. For BI, we don't have to forget about phobia. I think that I always remember the CAF Champions League final at Dakar Sports Stadium. I was there. We all sang, whether we were from Olympics, Kotoko, we all sang and Hearts won that day. I just pray that tomorrow the Hearts faithfuls will go to the stadium, bring the rainbow spirit back, let them fight. 3-0 is nothing that Accra House of Hope cannot surmount. Let them go there, back the team, and then after that they can begin to do their homework, because there's a lot of work to be done if Accra House of Hope is continuing in Africa.
Thank you very much. Ebo Apia is a seasoned sports analyst here with us in the studio. And that's how we wrap it up this afternoon on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. Coming up very shortly will be the Joy Headline News at 2, after which, George Quay will take it over in a few moments with Showbiz A to Z. And of course, there's a lot on the plate today. And Shatawale will be making a pass through here in the studio. You stay here with us, because we are your best friend on the weekend and on any day. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and I have love for sport.